Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Koala Wallet, Eucalyptus Labs. How did you get involved in crypto and blockchain?
Yeah, so I got involved in crypto back in 2013 or 14 on the Dogecoin forums, not as an anarchist or as an economic czar. I just liked that Dogecoin money was fun, and they were doing some cool stuff on Reddit and with mining. So I got involved then and stashed away a little bit of Bitcoin, a little bit of Redcoin, a little bit of Dogecoin, and I needed a wallet. So I found this wallet around 2014 that I used called Coinami, and then in 2017 or 16, I got in touch with that team because I was like, whoa. I found my funds, and there's something more to this Bitcoin stuff. I really want to get involved. So I went onto that team and eventually led their team's product and business development. At the end of 2021, I was managing director. And at that point, some team members and we decided to start our own venture called Eucalyptus Labs and focus on a new type of wallet that wasn't just about storing and locking up funds, but rather helping users get the most out of them. So back in the day at Coinami, I worked on integrating all kinds of coins like Algorand, Hedera, Avalanche, and more. And it was always like really easy to help them integrate. But then it was more challenging and hard to find different ways to get our users to actually interface with their chain, with their projects, and really get that utility side going. So at the end of 2021, Koinami was kind of finished and no more in terms of upper management. So we were like, let's not let all of our team experience go to waste. 7 or 8 of us who've been working together for years and years got together and said, let's start Eucalyptus.
Okay, cool. So then what kind of led you to building on Kadena?
So I had met the Kadena team in 2018, I think, at Consensus in New York City when it was still back in Midtown, Hilton or something. And I got drinks with one of their co-founders, although I was drinking Coke and Sprite since I was too young to drink back then. Um, and we got drinks in Brooklyn, and we're just talking all about his coin that they were starting and these crazy transactions per second. And I was really there to convince him to pay me to integrate the blockchain and to do all that kind of business development. And by the end of it, I wanted to go home and buy more and invest in Kadena because it was so interesting to me. And their approach, as he said back then, was really institutional. They saw that the market was going to go up and down and up and down for years to come. And so they said, we're going to lie low, not get caught in the layer one war too early on with, 2017, 19, 20, all those cycles. And that's exactly what they did. So I saw that there was a big technical deficit on their chain and that it was a really good area we could start to prove the Eucalyptus way of developing for an ecosystem and not just a blockchain individually. And so that's what we did.
Yeah, I mean Kadena is a really interesting project. I've covered it a bit and I got really hyped on it when it was like I definitely FOMO'd in, definitely got wrecked.
Yeah.
And I'm sure the majority of people, except for the really early OGs, like haven't at this point. But that doesn't necessarily mean anything. I don't think in terms of like what will happen with that blockchain and what will happen moving forward and what's happening with it right now. Talk a little bit about Koala Wallet, then explain Koala Wallet, I guess.
So every wallet that we've ran into has challenges that they face when scaling and trying to really grow their product out. When you look at a browser extension wallet that starts solely on browser and tries to hop to mobile, at mobile, they really don't expect a lot of the challenges that come with mobile development. When you have a mobile wallet, usually they're stuck in one native stack and they have trouble keeping it on par with iOS and Android. There's so many intricacies of app development, let alone blockchain app development, that are just really hard to navigate around. There's also scaling and communication and support issues that really just balloon once you reach 10, 20, 50,000 users, that anyone thinks they can really start a wallet. And then you get into those hard places and you find yourself spending a ton of money and resources and not know how to scale those responsibly. So we knew we were getting to a super saturated market of wallets, but already in the past year and a half, we've seen so many drop out facing those challenges, which we built around a unique tech stack and team to really surmount. So Koala Wallet is not too far different when it comes to storing your funds and helping you trade them. We have the portfolio screen and the storage screen and the trading screen. Where we differ and where we're really developing out is with each ecosystem individually that we onboard to the app. We're creating a direct section for them of their ecosystem with their projects for their users to really dive in and get a better view of how they can use their funds the most. So it's kind of a three-step phase or process. So the first step is just listing and getting in touch with every project in the ecosystem. From our side, what we did was create services like Kadena Ecosystem and Kadena Project Network to really align with them and just say, hey, we're going to help you grow, help us get in touch with people. The second step is putting it right inside the wallet, which is where we are at today. People can click in and explore an ecosystem with dApps and different partnerships in the wallet. And the third is what we're going to be working on in 2024, which is really looking at someone's funds with their permission and with some smart AI tooling and saying, you have this in X token, this in X in Y coin. Why don't you try to use this DeFi tool or this different protocol and get some more utility and use out of your funds, whether that's financially, through an identity protocol, NFTs, try something out. And that's the education we're going to be seamlessly providing within the application that sets us far apart from a lot of other wallets.
So it'll actually kind of advise the user of like ways to use their funds inside of the wallet. Is that the idea?
Yeah, that's kind of the idea. Just as though you might have some AI insight telling you might want to trade this or that into these projects, we might even just be able to say to you, not necessarily, hey, take your funds and spend them in this app or this application, but here's a free way to start learning about this token, get some of the token itself, and then you can use it in a few different ways really easily inside Koala. So we want to cushion that education, acquisition, and utility pipeline all within the crypto wallet. We call it Koala Wallet, but we really see it as a Trojan horse for adoption. But calling it Koala Trojan horse for adoption is not a very, off the tongue name.
Not a very
And
sexy
we also
name.
want to do it in a really transparent way, right? And not just be like the Wells Fargo agent who tells you put all your money into this stock or that stock, and you're like, why? We want to make sure that whatever we're doing, we're providing a lot of transparency for people and showing them the algorithm or the code that's saying this is what we're suggesting and based off of what math. So that's also a challenge by itself, but it's what we're looking to develop.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like when it comes to wallets and just crypto in general, especially through this last winter, like people getting their or people getting their tokens locked, people getting their stuff stolen, people getting hacked. Like this is like I feel like for the general users or like new people to Kadena, and they're scrubbing the web, and it's like, okay, what wallet do I hold my Kadena in? Which one's safe? It's like I don't even know how to like when I review a wallet, I'm kind of like, yeah, I've used it for a while. It seems good, you know what I mean? But like for the
Right.
general user, it's like how do you build, I guess that's probably maybe one of your biggest obstacles is how do you build trust with your customers and with the people using your app who like the majority of people don't have like tech savvy experience and aren't going to understand why the security of Koala Wallet might be greater than another wallet.
Yeah, so the first step is security audits, especially even before we talk about open sourcing and things like that. You want to make sure that your code is locked up. We've done two so far with Red 4 Security, and those went really well with minimal findings, all addressed at the source of publication. So audits are a great way to improve the trust between you and your community, but I could point out auditors that have failed to audit, bugs and flaws, and also services that lied about their audits or things like that. Or, you get your product audited and then you ship a different product, right? Users aren't going and checking the hash all the time to make sure it matches on the website to authenticate. So there's three steps. First, audit, get that first step done. Second, next year, our priority for us is open sourcing our wallet package. Not all the fun UI stuff on top, but just the underlying code that shows people what's happening to generate their addresses, their key pairs, so they have the trust in an open source product. And then we can incentivize people through bug bounties to go ahead, troll through the source code and tell us if they find anything, but we're confident they won't, since our team has a unique track record. Our CTO used to work on Bitcoinium and Exchange, which was one of the first projects in 2011 he contributed to. So he's been in wallets securing people's funds for longer than I've been, doing a lot of stuff at that age, I guess. And so the third step, though, I think is just communication, right? You could be audited, you could be open source, you could be the safest wallet in the world, but we have to communicate two things. First, that we're a safe and trusted place for you to put your funds. But second is that we're a different wallet than the others. And where I think we usually find our difference is that we try to align everything we do with the users and the ecosystem. And especially with users, when it comes to our revenue model of swaps in the application and just how we package the application, our goal with Koala, again, is not just to lock up your funds, it's to help you make more of them. And we'll benefit together when you do make more of them. So that's why we're trying to keep those swap fees really low and introduce different mechanisms into the application, which aren't focused on nickel and diming users when they're transmitting or transferring their money, but helping them grow their money and profiting off that, because at the end of the day, that's what we want to do together.
And I mean, to my knowledge, Kadena isn't interoperable with Ledger yet. I don't know. I know it was like on their roadmap,
Good
but
news.
what?
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they
tell
did
me.
finally publish it out. It's available on Ledger. You can't use it in Ledger Live yet, but we do have a really good tutorial with some funky background music as to how to use your Koala wallet with Ledger. So that integration is live. We're up and running, so you can go ahead and check that out now.
Oh, really? So I can use my ledger right now, and it'll connect through the Koala app.
Yeah, so there's a website right now that Kadena patched together. And so you just get your wallet out, you get your ledger, and then you can do it all through that website as the middle party. And in 2024, we'll also be introducing support for Ledger directly in the app for all your currencies.
That's amazing. I love that. I feel like I don't know. I feel like just the cold storage aspect, having that one more layer of protection for users, just makes you feel so much more, way safer than like a hot storage wallet or whatever centralized exchanges, which is like
Yeah.
craziness to keep your crypto on centralized exchanges. I feel like I have a little bit on Coinbase, but I don't know. I after I got wrecked on in Celsius, which is like
Uh,
not really an exchange. I guess that was a super high risk lending platform. But
yep.
I mean, yeah, it was. Did you get hit by any of the FTX, Celsius,
No,
BlockFi,
no. So
Voyager?
I got hit back in the day, 2017. Maybe that's when it was from BitGrail getting hacked, an Italian exchange exchanging what was then known as Ryblocks, now rebranded as Nano or XNO ticker sign.
Okay.
And I lost a really good amount, a really fair amount. And it was super embarrassing because I was working for a wallet, of course. And I
Yeah.
know your keys, your coins, but I didn't have a safe place to put it. And so that's definitely something we're addressing with Koala Wallet and that education process too. Since I think it must have been over a year ago now that CZ and some kind of um, you know AMA said that users are not ready to self custody their own coins. Like the technology isn't there, which I really disagree with, given that they bought Trust Wallet many years ago, and they haven't moved to the ball in terms of education flows inside the application, helping users safely acquire directly to their app instead of a Binance account. And because a lot of these wallets are set up by centralized sources or exchanges that at the end of the day want to keep your funds in their centralized exchange, not your wallet where you can go and use it on Kraken or Polon, any of these other sources. So I think that it's a bit of a lie to users that you're not ready or you can't handle it. It's just falling on the creators and the app developers out there to develop a better experience that makes it easier to do all those things. And that's what we're addressing because not everyone can afford a ledger. Not everyone even has a desktop to use an extension wallet. That's why our focus is always accessibility, multi-platform, and getting a copy of Koala into everyone's hands.
Yeah, well, the interface for your guys' mobile app is really nice. It just like it feels good. It feels very user friendly, and I feel like definitely in crypto in general, that is a hurdle though for like mass adoption. I feel like that I think the goal is like that you don't even see the blockchain, like you don't see the crypto aspect of it. It's basically just another app on your phone or another website that you're using that makes it really usable for the general person who's not on Reddit forums and not like deep diving YouTube tutorials on how to use these wallets and how to transfer things and how to do things like this. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like yeah, it's like how do we have the feeling of safeness with centralized exchanges in a way, but like we can't really do that because that completely is I feel like antithetical to the whole mission of cryptocurrency and blockchains is like to
Mm-hmm.
have it be decentralized. And that's what's so interesting about the whole collapse of the market and all these centralized exchanges going under and everybody saying, oh, well, this is proof that crypto doesn't work and that the blockchains
Yeah.
don't work, when in reality it was like those centralized exchanges was the exact opposite mission of like having decentralized finance, owning your own tokens, owning your own currency, not having your money in controlled by some other entity that you have that usually doesn't have it. And I think it's the same situation with banks today. They don't have your,
Yep.
you know, they have some of
Nope.
it.
If you go to the bank, you might not be able to get all of it out. Absolutely. It's a good old fashioned bank run.
Yeah.
Something that I've been talking to a lot of other people, especially founders about too, is just like pre launch. And that's in our definition, at least, when you're putting a technology solution out there that sometimes isn't ready for the users, but also sometimes isn't ready for the backing technology. Like a lot of people, when they talk about wallets and the next frontier of wallets, say, well, we need a technology that completely hides the blockchain. And I actually agree with you there, that you don't really want to interface or see that you're using the blockchain. But there's also a simple truth that if wallets did that tomorrow, none of these other services like exchanges or dexes or DeFi protocols, everything is still stuck in normal Web3 in a sense. Like we're talking about Web4 at this point.
Hmm.
So a lot of time, and especially while we field conversations with investors and projects, they'll ask us like, are you an MPC wallet or are you an account abstracted wallet? And we'll be like, no, we're not yet, because a lot of wallets in 2017, 2018 had these new wave technologies promising to bring 100 million grandmas to blockchain by making it super easy and simple. And they just didn't, because the technology is not yet there yet. So I think it's also important to be able to move with the herd to some degree, to be a trendsetter where you can. But we've still seen that what's really pushing the ball forward is education, helping people seamlessly acquire the coin and then use it in different ways. But I definitely agree that that's the goal we're working towards. But it's always a debate of how do you make sure that users don't get wrecked from the newest advanced lending protocol, when the technology isn't there to actually back it up. So that's kind of where we're at in this intermediary period now.
Yeah, and like be very weary of super high yielding anything.
Always, if anyone promised you something, yeah,
When it doesn't
picking up
make
the pen I was
sense,
fiddling with. But
when it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. So how closely do you guys work with the Kadena team? Are you guys involved with them still, or like what is that like?
yeah, so we're still supporting a lot of infrastructure. We run a blockchain explorer for them, and we're in touch with all the projects. I'll tell you the truth. When we started with Kadena, the communication was not great. We knew that they had a really small team. They were really focused on their internal development and deployment. It's a different game now. I have like 3 to 4 people, biz dev alone, that I could bother right now and probably get a fast reply. In the past 3, 6 months, they have really upped their business team, their marketing, absolutely bringing on a CMO. They've just revamped a lot of what needed to be grown first, or rather like nurtured, which now they can go out and start getting things done. So it's been a really big change, and actually more conversation and communication in the past 2 months, just as they launch all these different initiatives and start to pick up the ball when it comes to marketing, community outreach, and their developers.
So when you started building, what did you do for funding? Maybe say for someone who's watching this, if they're interested in building something on a blockchain or they want to build an application, like how did you raise funds? What did you do for financing for your project?
Yeah, so we actually bootstrapped for a really long time at Eucalyptus Labs because we have been working together for so long with this same group of people. We didn't have to scale or try to weave people into the team later on. We were kind of set from the beginning, and we could confidently invest that money internally, knowing the product we were going to get. However, my advice and what we then did later into the process is hunt for grants. Ecosystems right now have a problem that they want to get their projects into more people's hands. They want to get more developers onto their blockchain, developing and connecting the dots between projects. Even in terms of marketing and business development, you can always go out there and find opportunities. And they have these big grant treasuries, but they just don't know how to deploy them. That's one of the reasons we set up Eucalyptus Labs, not just Koala Wallet, to provide these extra services and connect, in terms of those education and acquisition, all of my three spiel. But go out and hunt for grants. There's new initiatives popping up every day, even in this quieter market. And these companies literally dedicate these funds and have to push them somewhere. So find a really good way and case to get some into your hands and build.
So are you a coder yourself? Are you writing code and developing, or do you have other engineers?
I have some brilliant engineers like my CTO, Tim, like our Flutter Queen, as we call her, Varsik, who's an amazing front end engineer. I wish I were, I were on that brain level to code, but usually having these conversations and flashing a smile is more my speed.
Gotcha.
So I'm mostly talking to people. Uh, the extent of my coding goes either into like a simple JavaScript application or Python controlling a robotic arm or something like that. So if you need something that moves coded with like up, down, left, right, I gotcha. But anything beyond that, app development, you can definitely talk to the team.
So is Koala Wallet like your kind of main baby that you're working on building, growing? Is that like the key source of say revenue for your business, or is it like a stepping stone for the next thing for Eucalyptus Labs, or how do you see like you guys moving forwards?
I think that a lot of founders probably agree that they see whatever they're working on as their main thing and as that, billion-dollar idea. I think the strategy for Eucalyptus Labs and Koala Wallet as their main product and growing source of revenue and all of that is we have a really large opportunity to change finance in some ways, especially as we see technologies like Starlink and satellite internet open the door to millions more or billions more around the globe that are 30 to 40% unbanked. So we see going after the crypto sector and providing the best wallet we can make, and then using those technologies to unlock finance in a lot of underdeveloped parts of the world, because we know that a lot of people like MoneyWise and Transfer and all these firms are going to have the same idea, but they're going to be doing it at percentages that we can really beat as long as we stay agile and a young team that can keep growing with the market trends. So we're really focused on growing Koala to be a huge company by really expanding our global reach, and that's by accessibility and rewarding the places that we grow and on a local community level is really important to us.
Will it be in like what other coins will it be able to use other coins?
So we built Koala to be multi-coin from day one. We just knew that we wanted to prove our test thesis with Kadena as a really great partner. So we're currently loading in a bunch more chains. We just onboarded Ethereum, of course, and now Koala Network, where we'll be one of the top wallets. So we're adding in a bunch of chains throughout 2024, and we're even letting our users have a little bit of say which chains we add. We've seen the wallets out there for Cosmos. We've seen them for Sui and Aptos, Move languages, and without throwing any names out there, we think we can offer a better experience for users and a better value proposition. So more than that, we're not even that concerned with trying to take users from different wallets. We're concerned with how do we make a really great play and get more people into those ecosystems through Koala. So you'll see us expand to a lot more ecosystems. You'll see those services go online for a bunch of more blockchains, and that's how we'll really grow as a company.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So it's just kind of over. You started basically with Kadena, and then over time, you guys will add other chains. You can add other chains into the wallet. What are
Yeah, and
your
that's like just to mention quickly, we
yeah?
don't have to do it with messy add-on snaps or like an extension. If you want to put Bitcoin next to your Ethereum and Koala, you'll be able to just do that with a tap of the button. So there's so many ways that we build Koala just different and with a totally new tech stack, even coming from 7, 8 years of another wallets, that we've really improved upon and can scale much faster and better than some others out there.
Will you be able to swap like coins directly through into BTC into ETH? What about like USDC, USDT? Is that possible? Is that something that will happen in the future? Or
Yep. So at the end of November, we'll be implementing that in apps. You can swap just about any currency pair. We literally have had to have a decision as to how we handle so many of the pairs and load them into the app, because we'll be able to just do just about any cross-chain swap. And so future things we'll be adding into the wallet as well are bridging and lending protocols and staking for your available coins. So we're going to be able to offer all of that inside the wallet.
wow, that sounds amazing. I'm definitely going to be hyped on that because I'm like looking for.
And
Oh, I'm
again,
always
keeping
look.
it fast, keeping it easy to use, all the things you already love about Koala.
So what are kind of your? Do you have any like what's going? Do you know what's going on much with Kadena right now? Do you have much information on that, or not really too much?
I do. I don't usually have more than the community does, but what I do get is just to absorb from so many of our projects and from the community itself, since we're always in the chats and talking with them about Kadena and more. So right now, if you go to kadena.io, and I don't know when people will be seeing this, but if you go to kadena.io, you'll see that their website is kind of glitching out right now, and that it's like interestingly, there's some things in the source code that you can find as well that illuminate what's coming next. So they're starting to kick up that marketing. They're doing a lot more campfires. They just had two of the most quoted people from the Bitcoin white paper, or the most quoted people, the most cited reference papers from the Bitcoin white paper. They had them on their campfire as advisors. So there's so much happening. And what I can really point to is, I guess, three things. First, a lot of activity around their NFT standard Marmalade, especially as they involve more from the community, such as this amazing developer Amir, Pascal, and these other gentlemen who have been contributing just day in and night to this protocol called Marmalade V2. The second is that new marketing approach they're taking. You'll be seeing a new website. They just redid their documentation. And third is a JavaScript layer they're developing for the Pact language, which is their smart contract language, which is going to open up Pact like you could open up Solidity to all of JavaScript developers, which is also going to be really impactful for people looking to build simple apps. So those are the three things that are really on my radar, but I think they have some stuff planned and kind of in the bag as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to in 2024.
Cool. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see. I was definitely surprised that it came down as far as it has. I would have thought it would have
Yep.
held up.
Yep.
It would have held up a little more. But I think survival is like key in these things, and then hoping that there's some sort of narrative in the next bull run, and then over the long term, if they can pull off all the things they say they can pull off, I think it's going to be great. I feel like in the short term, like a lot of these, it's so cyclical. The whole market is so cyclical based on
Yep.
FOMO and based on narratives and like, and really what's going on the chains. You can look at certain things. It's like, oh, they have the most development or they're growing in usership, but the price of the coin isn't really necessarily reflected. It's like so and such is getting hyped because of this, or they think it's the next this
Mhm.
coin, or they think it's the next this coin. When you do you know when you raise money from a like for a project, or when these projects are giving out grants, are they giving out like US dollars to people, or are they giving out their native tokens?
So it depends, and there's usually three things that blockchains do because I've worked with so many of blockchains directly in their foundations, their investment arms. Um, when a blockchain says they have like $10 million in funds they're going to be giving away, a lot of the time that actually means that they have like 20 VCs who are going to pile their funds directly into projects for a specific initiative. And so that might be like, Hedera Foundation is doing that through the VCs, and that's in pure US dollar, like fiat. In other times, they'll have an organization where they'll pay out grants directly in their own coin that comes from an emission schedule or ecosystem fund. And then other times, that team may have raised themselves, have a huge cash balance, and then send you out a grant from their cash or their USDT as well, because they don't want to spend those tokens before you build your shiny new toy and bring another 100,000 to the blockchain. So it's really a wash, and you don't always know what you're going to get because until they say you're approved and have a grant, you're kind of walking in the dark. So it's not much of an answer, but those are like three of the ways that can often go.
Do you invest in cryptos? Are you in the
I do,
market?
I work in it so frequently, and as a founder, you're doing things so much that I've sworn off day trading or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
yeah.
have my Ethereum, I have my Bitcoin, I have my altcoins that I like to hold. I even have my Dogecoin from back in 2013 that I still refuse to sell. So I like to hold on to that. I'm a long-term investor. And I think that, the best technique is still what people were saying 2009, don't mortgage your house. Just buy a little bit of the coin. I guess 2010, buy a few coins when you can. Now maybe buy a few Satoshis as you can, and just let it sit and be a long-term investor. Watch the field grow and things evolve.
I've been buying a bit through the whole winter. I don't know. I definitely used to be more of a diamond hands forever kind of guy, and then I got crushed in this last. I mean, I started. I think when I first started buying Bitcoin, it was about $800.
Oh,
Ethereum was
wow.
like $70 or somewhere in there. But then, and I just like I threw like a little bit at it. I had almost a Bitcoin, and then there was a crash. I got all afraid. I sold it. I missed the 20,000 bull market and whatever 2017, and then I started like accumulating on the way down. Bought a little bit more during COVID, and then I kind of timed it like really well in the last bull market, in terms of like I didn't buy before the bull market, but I bought at kind of a massive dip, and I did super well. And then I didn't sell anything. I hodled everything and just got completely destroyed on the way back down. So I'm definitely
Yep.
adjusting my strategy of like, all right, I think this is more of like a buy in the bear market when everyone's like screaming bloody murder and the news is terrible. And then I'm gonna definitely be taking profits this time around. Certain things I think are gonna be like a long. I'd like to hold a little bit, but I realized I was like, ooh, this is like taking way too much risk to like full on hodl forever. Because you just
Yeah, you don't want to get burned by crypto. It's not the sector that you want to admit that you lost all your funds in. This isn't
yeah.
just the app on Robinhood. So it's really a balanced game, and I think that most people in crypto for a while will usually not steer you too far from the same narrative of just be careful. If it looks too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
And just imagine small returns and get excited when you have those larger gains.
What are your thoughts on this, like this kind of regulatory crusade that's happening with the SEC, Coinbase. I mean, it's interesting because when I first saw that and I thought of Kadena, and I know a lot of the narratives for Kadena because it's proof of work, would that it would be highly protected from being listed as a security. And I kind of thought, ooh, this could be bullish for Kadena in the long term. I think regulation over the long term will definitely be good for the space. But also there are certain parts of the regulation that seems like it's definitely not helping and it's harming.
Yeah, I always say that no regulation is the worst regulation, and it's the regulation that they've had for a really long time now, which is just obscure laws. You don't know what you can or can't do. Really difficult to deploy things without a lawsuit that could come or could not come. It's easy to break laws when you don't know that they're going to exist in a year, right, or something like that. So that's why they've, in my opinion, it's not even been a slow regulation. It's been like a purposely delayed and obscure one. I think they're just facing pressures from both industry and folks at BlackRock, but also different countries like Dubai and Singapore who have hopped on to all the advances and money that can be brought in from these industries and types of development companies that they're starting to lose out on, and that pressure is mounting on the U.S. government, on these regulators, and so I really like to see it happen. It's actually also kind of both across political aisles right now that people want more financial access and freedom. I know that that might not seem the way in, for example, the Senate or the House of Representatives all the time, but you're seeing it on platforms like X or Twitter and more, where people are kind of coming to the same consensus and saying, look at these clips of this guy talking about Ethereum 3 years ago, and then 1 year ago, and then now. It seems like it's three different people talking.
Hmm.
So the public is seeing this and calling it out for what it is. And I think that's adding a lot of the pressure too, just because it's such a simple case of saying, you're not providing clarity, you're not making up your mind on this. You need to give people what they need.
I feel like there's a lot of strings being pulled in the backgrounds for sure for for people's for like big money's agenda.
Yeah.
But the one thing also I was wondering, I guess I know you're not the actually coding and doing the engineering on the blockchain, but what has your experience been like working and building on Kadena versus when you were working in crypto before building something on the Kadena blockchain?
I think that I could speak better for the project members or the project leaders that I know, because as a wallet, you're really building on the infrastructure around the chain, and you are that infrastructure around the chain. So we talked to some endpoints when it comes to the blockchain, but besides that, a lot of we do is hand off. But I do know developers, and we've also developed some smaller projects internal to Kadena, where we launched, for example, 7,000 NFTs the other day, and we did it in maybe 30 minutes with an amazing engineer, that the same one, Amir. And it was super easy using Kadena. It was super inexpensive, and batching all those transactions with Pact was just really easy, right? Just a little bit of a script. So we've had a pretty easy experience so far, but one of the things that's always difficult is sometimes a lack of documentation or a lack of developer resources, which is exactly what they're adding in now, or at least have been in the past few months. So as that builds, it's only going to get easier. And because we see it building already, we know it's a top priority for the team. So I would say, even from yesterday to today, you should check the doc site and see what's being added. And that could be a really good sign as to what's coming next.
Cool. Nice, Koby. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on a call and talk to nerd out about some crypto stuff, and I'm excited about
Absolutely.
the everything that's coming with the Koala wallet. I don't know. I like the face authentication is really nice. I don't know, just the user experience I felt for me. It's easy to operate, and I'm excited to see it get built out more and have some other tokens on there. And I'm gonna look into connecting with my ledger. I'm super excited you said that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think hopefully the viewers will have learned something. If you guys have like other questions or something, leave your comments and do all that. But Koby, I really appreciate it, and we'll keep in touch.
Thank you so much, Forrest. Check out koalawallet.io. And, it's always fun to talk to someone and nerd out, because we want users to kind of take the journey with us as we build out the platform. That's why we talk about it with so many people every day, and see how we're innovating and really changing what a wallet can be, not just the place that locks up your funds, but really helps you get the most out of them. And so the more users who say, all right, let me see your Discord, let me talk to you, let me chat in there on Telegram, and see what you're about, the better, because that adds the user base, that adds to our reach and our feedback from the community. So if we stay in touch there and keep developing with users, not just in mind, but literally talking with them every day, like yourself, we're going to do well. So thank you so much for having me, Forrest.
Definitely. Yeah. And don't store your crypto on centralized exchanges. Put them in a wallet.
Don't do it.
Don't do that. I mean, if you're in this game long enough, it seems like you're
You
probably
got to
gonna get
know.
wrecked at some point, but hopefully you don't get wrecked. Hopefully you can learn from us who have been wrecked and to have your own keys, store your own crypto, be careful, don't put your stuff into high yield protocols.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool, Kobe.